Jimmy Graham just might be the best value draft pick in fantasy football. Here's why. What's going on, fantasy football fans? I'm your host, Hussein the Brain, and you're watching The Couch. If you guys want to see more rankings, more sleepers, make sure you hit that like button, make sure you hit that subscribe button, make sure you hit that bell icon so you won't miss any future videos, because the subscribe button doesn't even do anything anymore and you're gonna miss all the videos. What are you gonna do if you miss my videos? There's a lot of tight ends I like this year, and it's still very, very early. My rankings, my sleepers, my thoughts on these tight ends will change. There will be some drama that happens in training camp. There might be some injuries in the preseason, and of course these rankings are going to change dramatically and fast, especially in August. But here's why I like Jimmy Graham, and I'm going to go over some other tight ends I like, but mainly focus on Jimmy Graham. Number one, it's got to be value. Just look at the average draft position. You got guys like Rob Gronkowski, Travis Kelce, Zach Ertz. Of course, those three, they deserve to be ahead of Jimmy Graham. But on my rankings, there's just no way I'm ranking Jimmy Graham out of the top four. I tried and I couldn't. You got Evan Engram. Okay, he was great last year, so a lot of people might say, okay, he's gonna be a beast in PPR. He is basically a wide receiver playing tight end. How awesome is it when you get to start basically a wide receiver at your tight end spot? That's amazing. But just remember this, he didn't really play with Odell Beckham. He played like 1.5 games with Odell Beckham. He's played 0 games with Saquon Barkley. This is going to be a completely different Giants offense. Just know that Odell Beckham is going to get a lot of targets. He's going to get a lot of explosive plays. He might get even a lot of touchdowns. Then you have Saquon Barkley. We know he's going to get the ball thrown to him quite a bit. That's not going to be enough targets for Evan Engram. Remember, Evan Engram was basically the #1 wide receiver for the Giants last year. He's not going to be the #1 offensive weapon this year. No way. I'm ranking him ahead of Evan Engram. And there's other tight ends. Look, there's Hunter Henry, who I think is going to explode this year, but there's huge risk. A lot of people thought he was going to explode last year. So just basically one pick after Jimmy Graham, Hunter Henry's going. I mean, if we're talking about a snake draft, it's basically 1 or 2 picks right after Jimmy Graham. You got Hunter Henry. I'd rather go with Jimmy Graham. The value is there. Jimmy Graham right now is going the 9th pick in the 5th round in a 12-team league. So that means he can easily slip to the 6th round. And in some drafts, he's gonna even slip to the 7th round, and dare I say 8th round, maybe even. If you just wait another round, you're gonna be stuck with a guy like Jordan Reed. Another round after that, Tyler Eifert, the 2 most injury-prone players in all of football. There's some guys I really like Trey Burton, Hayden Hurst, and Mike Gesicki's not even being drafted in leagues, which basically is saying nothing because it's, what is it? It's like May right now. So I know it's too early, but I still think Mike Gesicki is going to be undervalued. If you draft a tight end like Hurst or Gesicki, it's probably best to draft 2 tight ends. But I like that. I mean, it's a high upside flyer, high risk. Draft 2 tight ends. See what happens. Anyway, we established value. Tight ends are going to sometimes be drafted as early in the 2nd round. Probably going, 2 or 3 tight ends will be drafted in the 3rd round. That's pretty early. And if you can get Jimmy Graham in the 7th round, that's just doing the math, right? Round 2 versus round 7 possibly, the value is there. My second point why I like Jimmy Graham so much, he's going from Russell Wilson to Aaron Rodgers. Russell Wilson is an elite, great quarterback. He's very talented in real life and in fantasy. We know that. But as far as passing, he does not compare to the great Aaron Rodgers. Let's look at some stats and see. So Aaron Rodgers was injured last year, so we're going to use his 2016 stats. The last year Russell Wilson played 16 games. He threw 3,983 yards. And last time Aaron Rodgers played 16 games, he threw 4,428 yards. That's nearly 500 more yards. In 2017, Russell Wilson threw 34 touchdowns. Aaron Rodgers threw 40 touchdowns. Just a quick side note, Russell Wilson threw only 21 touchdowns the year before in 2016. It's safe to say Jimmy Graham's new quarterback, because he's on the Packers now, is going to be throwing a lot more yards and a lot more touchdowns. That's going to bode well for Jimmy Graham. And another quick Snapple fact, in 2015, tight end Richard Rodgers caught 8 touchdowns. I know a lot of you watching this video are familiar with Richard Rodgers. Some of you have no idea who he is. He's basically a no-name tight end. And if Aaron Rodgers can do that with Richard Rodgers, make that connection happen, he definitely can do it with Jimmy Graham. Reason number 3 why Jimmy Graham is going to be so good on the Packers. Jordy Nelson is gone. All those big plays, those touchdowns, they have to kind of go somewhere or lean towards another player or two, and that's going to be Jimmy Graham. And I'm not saying like, oh, you're just going to replace Jordy with Jimmy Graham. I'm just saying we know Aaron Rodgers has the big plays in him. We know he can scramble, make the magic happen. We know he can throw the ball very well. One of the best, if not the best quarterback to ever play the game, ever. Looking at stats, Jordy Nelson, okay, the last 3 years he had Aaron Rodgers, so from 2013 to 2016, this is what he averaged. He averaged 94 receptions per season on 143 targets per season for 1,364 yards per season, averaging double-digit touchdowns, 12 touchdowns per season. Okay, I know what you're thinking, Jimmy is no Jordy, but let's just see how Jordy Nelson does on the Raiders, okay? I don't think he's going to be having those stats. It's a lot to do with Aaron Rodgers and that Packers offense. You could be saying Jimmy Graham sucks. He's past his prime. He's not as good as he used to be. He definitely lost a step. Those are some valid arguments. But let's just say you're 100% right. He kind of sucks now. In 2017, he finished as tight end 4 in fantasy. In 2016, again, he finished as tight end 4. If that's being sucky and losing a step and not being anywhere as good as used to be and just being bad, I'll take that tight end 4. So if that's what everyone's thinking going into the draft, tight end 4 on the Seahawks and tight end 4 on the Seahawks, then I'll take that same guy, whoever the name might be. It's Jimmy Graham, you guys are hating on him. I'll take that tight end 4. Now he's on the Packers. He might even be better than tight end 4 this year. By the way, in 2017, Jimmy Graham caught 10 touchdowns. That's not so bad. What else are the haters saying?
Oh, the Packers never ever use the tight end spot.
That's not even an argument. Like, to me, that it's not. So you're saying, this is what you're saying, the Packers, they got rid of Jordy Nelson. He's no longer on the team, right? Aaron Rodgers made a little bit of magic with Richard Rodgers, made that happen, right? And Richard Rodgers no longer on the team, by the way. They spend a lot of money to bring in Jimmy Graham, who's not known for his run blocking. And I'm not even gonna say he's a terrible run blocker, but at best, an average run blocker. He's known for catching the ball. They're bringing in Jimmy Graham. Jordy Nelson's out. This is the same quarterback, Aaron Rodgers, who made it happen with James Jones when basically his career was over. He revived it. Remember James Jones with the hoodie, catching touchdowns? It happened. It's going to happen again with Jimmy Graham. I think Jimmy Graham has a good amount of safety. He's a safe pick, but also has that upside. Therefore, the value is there. We kind of covered both sides with people that hate Jimmy Graham are saying why I like him as a great value tight end, but there are some legitimate concerns with him. I'm not going to argue that he hasn't been as good, as explosive as he used to be when he was on the Saints. In 2015, he suffered that horrible leg injury, and I really didn't know if he was coming back for a long time. I thought this could be a case kind of like Victor Cruz. I mean, that guy, after he got injured, he was basically out of the league. His production just fell off a cliff. I mean, he barely made it back. And before, Victor Cruz was an absolute stud. He was one of the most explosive, most exciting players in the league. PFF, who I like a lot. I like their grading system. Of course, they're not always right. They're giving Jimmy Graham a 54.1. I find this a little bit low, but I do respect PFF. At the same time, PFF is giving wide receiver Geronimo Allison a 44.0. Geronimo Allison on another team might be well below average, might not even get any targets or receptions, might not really get a lot of playing time on another offense. But with A-Rod back there throwing the ball, Geronimo Allison looks pretty damn good. I mean, this guy is worth a fantasy ad on your roster if he's starting, because he's on the Packers. Let's take a quick look at my rankings for tight end. I know I got Gesicki kind of high. This is going to change. This changes all the time. I talk to some people. Things happen. I change my mind. It's still very early, but I just wanted to give you guys a sneak peek. Let me know what you guys think of my tight end rankings, what you think about Jimmy Graham. It seems like this is going to be a polarizing type of player. Either you're going to be a Jimmy Graham hater, or you're going to absolutely love having Jimmy Graham on your fantasy team. Or if you're a Packers fan, I'm sure you're excited to have Jimmy Graham, and rightfully so, you should be. All right, guys, make sure you like the video if you enjoyed it, dislike if you did not, share the video with your buddies, get them pissed off if they're Jimmy Graham haters, whatever it might be. I really appreciate it. Subscribe to the channel by hitting the couch icon if you haven't already, and I'll see you on the next video.